what's up YouTube? Today's video, I'm going to go over why Replica Headhunter may be better than you think. And it actually got me thinking because I was actually on Reddit. And yeah, Reddit, of course, the land of the crazy people. But basically, I saw this one post that's extolled the virtues of Replica Headhunter and said that it was actually the best juicy map setup. And that actually got me thinking a little bit, how good is this actual belt? And the answer is I didn't really get to test it out fully, but everything kind of makes sense in the sense that there's no other belt that would give you that much power for juice mapping. So you're pretty much looking for the best juice mapping setup. And at this point, Replica Headhunter is definitely better than Headhunter because Inspired exists that steals mods from rare mobs, but Replica Headhunter, however, is able to steal from blue mobs, right? So this overlap between rares and blues allows you to get the maximum amount of buffs as possible. So let's go over why exactly Replica Headhunter could be not too bad for a setup and is definitely better than the non-replica version. So first off, what exactly is Replica Headhunter? Well, this belt is something that drops in Heist. I think it's actually pretty rare. Let me go look at how many are on PoE trade. So how many are actually on PoE trade? So there's only 6, which is shows that this belt is pretty crazy rare. You know, it's actually more expensive than Headhunter, I think. So there's actually not even that many offline, and that's just because replica uniques are pretty rare in general. Pretty much because no one really likes to do heist. If we look at Headhunter, it's actually cheaper than Replica Headhunter, which is actually quite surprising. I do think that maybe more people are finding out that Replica Headhunter is actually better than Headhunter, and Headhunter is actually a completely outdated belt until GGG decides to fix it. So maybe one day Headhunter will be better. But basically, main difference between Replica and real Headhunter is that this line exists. So it still has the strength index, it still has the life, and it has, oh, this line is also different. So you have increased damage with hits against magic monsters. That's actually probably worse than rare monsters because who needs help killing magic monsters, right? But you have 20% chance when you kill a magic monster to gain its modifiers for 20 seconds. Now, something to note is that when you kill a magic pack, there's probably more than 5 monsters, right? So on average, every single magic pack you encounter, you will most likely steal that one Arch Nemesis modifier. So the way the game works right now is that every single magic monster has one Arch Nemesis modifier, and every single rare monster also has 1 and up to 3 Arch Nemesis modifiers, I think. Or is it 4? But I know the baseline starts at 1. So you can see here, because the Arch Nemesis rare and the Arch Nemesis magic monster both have baseline 1 Arch Nemesis modifier, Replica Headhunter is pretty much just pretty similar to the regular Headhunter, right? But the main thing about Headhunter is that you can roll like double or triple beyond and spawn more rares. But for magic monsters, it's kind of hard. But there is one way to get more magic monsters on your map, and I'm going to go over what that is shortly. So this is the reason why Replica Headhunter is actually better than Headhunter. Now, blue and rare mobs do share different modifiers, and so pretty much GGG has said that their magic monsters actually have different Arch Nemesis modifiers than rare monsters. And there's actually some Arch Nemesis modifiers that only appear on a magic monster, as they confirmed here. So right here is a statement they said from the last post about where they're changing Arch Nemesis modifiers. They said, we haven't described where mods differ on magic monsters. So the mods that they show in that one list are actually different on magic monsters slightly. I'm not sure if this actually allows you to stack multiple of the same Arch Nemesis modifier. I'm pretty sure you still cannot, but I haven't really been able to test it out at all. But generally, things like auras are not present on magic monsters, and certain effects occur less frequently on magic monsters. And then it also says many of the rare mods do not appear on magic monsters at all as they are too complex. So what that means is that there's probably some Arch Nemesis modifiers on rare monsters that will never appear on magic monsters, and those are probably going to be like the really weird ones that give you. So if you look at the Arch Nemesis modifiers, there's ones like Effigy or something like that are kind of weird, where it summons like a ghost of your corpse or something. So basically, those ones that are actually really bad do not actually appear on magic monsters. So magic monsters Arch Nemesis modifiers probably on average tend to be a little bit better. And then it says there are also 3 mods that only appear on magic monsters: Voice Bond of Abixoft, Spirit Walker, and Union of Souls. Now, if you see here, this is the simple equation of why Replica Headhunter is better. Replica Headhunter gives you mods for magic monsters. Inspired Learning gives you mods from rare monsters. Headhunter gives you mods from rare monsters. And Replica, Headhunter, and Inspired Learning gives you mods from both rare and magic monsters, making it the best of both worlds. So I actually think it's pretty interesting to look at all of the Arch Nemesis modifiers that actually exist in the game. And most Arch Nemesis modifiers make your character tankier rather than giving you infinite damage. I'm sure if you've ever used an Inspired Learning, you will notice that you get a lot of HP. You also get a lot of max res. You get a lot of armor and evasion. And it definitely just makes your character tanky overall. And there's honestly a big lack of damage mods on the Arch Nemesis modifiers and a lack of attack speed and movement speed. Like the best type of Arch Nemesis modifier that you can get is probably like Soul Eater in terms of the clear speed. Echoist is pretty good as long as you're not using Whirling Blades and you're going backwards. But the fact of the matter is that lots of modifiers do absolutely nothing. It might even be a detriment. Like Ice Prison actually encases you in some ice thing, which is really, really annoying. And another thing to note is that physical conversion builds do seem like they benefit more from Arch Nemesis modifiers than any other builds. So if you can see here, we have Hasted, which gives you 40% increased move speed, 100% increased evasion rating. So if you ever look at your defense tab, you will see that you will have a lot more evasion rating. Sometimes that's because you get Hasted. I think this one is actually relatively common. You have Gargantuan, you have Flame Weaver, which gives you Fizz as extra fire, and Fizz converted to fire, so that's how you get so much more benefit on Fizz build. And you can see here you also get max res. So if you ever look at your max res, you'll see that you're at 85 res a lot or close to 90. And then here's some more non-chaos as extra chaos, and then also some more maximum chaos res. And these are annoying ones, like Overwhelm is annoying. And these are dangerous ones if the mobs have it. These are ignites on hit. But that's why ailment immunity is so important nowadays for most builds, because all of the Arch Nemesis modifiers try to inflict some sort of ailment, some bleed. This one here is pretty nice. It gives you 4 additional projectiles. And then Deadeye randomly applies Poacher's Mark, Assassin's Mark. It also has increased damage. So you can see here, there's a bunch of different Arch Nemesis modifiers, but you don't see any that are crazy in terms of giving you some more damage modifier. Because when you stack this much increased damage on top of each other, it has a point of diminishing return. So you have ones like Sentinel, which actually do nothing, which is just 50% chance to block attack and block spell. And this is something that makes your character very tanky. So that's why I like to think of Inspired Learning, Replica Headhunter, and Headhunter as a more defensive item than anything else. That can sometimes bring you over to the top if you do tend to steal like a Soul Eater or something like that. You have Bombardier, so you have 2 additional projectiles, so you can potentially get up to 6 additional projectiles. Then you have Necromancer, Assassin, Rejuvenating, Executioner, which is immune to culling, Droughtbringer. So you have stuff like this one. And I think these are ones that can only appear on rare. So that's why magic monsters are usually better. So you see here, Treant Horde is another one that probably only appears on rares. So that's why magic monsters on average are going to have better ones. So Temporal Bubble is another one that only is on a rare. So all of these ones actually don't really give you any benefit in terms of damage or attack and cast speed. So that's why magic monsters, in my opinion, are superior to rares for the quality of their Arch Nemesis modifiers. And then you have Corpse Detonator and Efficacious. I'm not really sure Mirror Image can appear on magic monsters or Corruptor. But basically, Arch Nemesis modifiers, TLDR, benefits Fizz builds more. A lot of mods are actually worthless and might even be a detriment. And most of it makes your character very tanky. So now the question comes down to how good is Replica Headhunter and Inspired? And I do think that it is very similar to Mageblood and to Inspired Learning, and it may be faster depending on your luck with mods. Using both will definitely smooth out your RNG in trying to get all of the good buffs early on, and that really helps out because you want to have a smooth mapping experience. And this is definitely a better option than just using Headhunter or just using Inspired Learning by itself, especially if you're doing any sort of juice mapping. Now, Mageblood might be better, but it's really on a different sort of pricing level. And if you compare the Replica Headhunter to another belt that would kind of be similar on a juice setup, and most people would probably compare it to maybe Bisco's Leash, which gives you Rampage, or maybe you can just do a Stygian, which gives you some damage, right? Or Perseverance. I guess if you're a Perseverance build, then Perseverance may be better than Replica Headhunter. But for builds that are just using a belt for some life and resist, then I think Replica Headhunter will beat it out 10 out of 10 times, right? And if you're doing juice maps, Replica Headhunter also has something that's pretty good because most people do juice maps, and that's when it's paired with shrines, and each shrine can spawn a magic pack of monsters with this notable in the Atlas tree. And this notable is called Drawn to Power. It gives you a 50% chance to be guarded by additional pack of monsters, and shrines in your maps are guarded by at least one magic pack. So you can potentially get multiple magic packs per shrine. Is this actually what it says? Because I think, oh yeah, so you will always get 1.5 magic packs on average from the shrine. And if you have like 5 shrines in the map, then you'll pretty much be getting 8 additional magic packs, right? So this is super, super strong when paired with it, and it does help out a lot for juice mapping. Now, overall, until GGG decides to buff Headhunter or nerf Inspired Learning, and I don't think that they should nerf Inspired Learning, I do think that Replica Headhunter plus 2 to 3 Inspired Learnings will be the best map juicing setup. And Mageblood might beat it out if your build lacks a lot of movement speed and it really needs that extra like 100% movement speed that's up at all times from Mageblood. And these are builds like Cast on Crit, Forbidden Rite, or something like that. But the pricing of the two items is just completely different. Like if you look at here on the right, this is the price of Mageblood, and this is the price of a Replica Headhunter. Now, Replica Headhunter is still relatively expensive. This is around like 20 or to 30x. Well, this is like 200x nearly. But you can basically see that Replica Headhunter is better than Headhunter, and it should offer you a better way of juice map farming than just using a regular rare belt or some Stygian or something like that. But if you're using a Perseverance or you're using maybe a synth belt for Omni, then the equation becomes a lot closer. And it is important to note that Replica Headhunter is still relatively expensive and will be much more expensive than a rare belt. But if you're trying to save up for something, like save up for Mageblood, and you have some money left over that you want to invest, then potentially you could try out Replica Headhunter and see how it feels, because it's always better to invest in your build rather than just having 150x sitting there and wasting away. If you have that much currency left over, it's probably better to buy a mirror shard or something like that will slowly inflate in value. And I'll probably make another video about that, because a lot of people do ask me, should I invest in my build or continue to save for Mageblood? And the answer is you can invest in your build and save for Mageblood as long as you buy an item that's easily resellable, and you might even make money by buying an item that will go up in price. But thanks for watching, everyone. Let me know down in the comments below if you've tried Replica Headhunter and Inspired setup. I might try it out today on stream, and how it actually feels compared to old Headhunter or just 2 Inspireds by itself. But thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you find more Mirrors, Exalts, and Magebloods than me, and see you next time. Bye!